In this lesson, we will work on fin adjustments for the horse's skeleton. Fins are great to use for a few reasons. Let's say if we were animating a high-res model, high-res to the point where it affected performance in our scene, well, we can use fins then to fill in the character's volume. Then at that point, we can hide the mesh and work with a much faster rig. And at the same time, we'll still have a good idea of the character's size and proportions for a comfortable animation workflow. Another great reason why we'd want to use fins is because they give us a better result initially in our deformations when we skin. So as the bone size increases because of the fin object, that will in turn increase the amount of influence that bone has over a given area. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll work on the pelvic limbs. Just start there. We'll access our bone tools. We'll grab the femur bone, and let's go ahead and enable our fin handles. So at this point, it's just a matter of tweaking each of these. So we can go to the side fins and bring those in a little bit more. We can adjust the front fins. And then remember, we also have these start and end taper parameters for fine-tuning the fin size. So I'll go ahead and bring in the back fin a little bit more. And again, just the end and start taper. And then at that point, we can go ahead and copy this. And I like to use absolute. And then go ahead and transfer that over to the right side. You could always transfer that down to the rest of your bone objects. However, if we go ahead and paste, you can see that the size may not be the best. So you may then have to go in and fine-tune these further. So when we get to the tibia, we can go ahead and bring in the side fins, bring in the front and back. And then at that point, again, just copy and paste. So that's how we could handle the pelvic limbs. For our vertebrae, it's the same story. We'd enable all of our fins. And we might start with the front fin to fill in the volume in the side. And then at that point, we can go to shaded mode and start to adjust this until the fin object barely pokes through our mesh. That'll give us a good stopping point. And now we can go ahead and use this value here. Just copy it. Use that for the size of the back fin so that they share the same length. And then we can start to increase the side fins just a little bit more. Copy our value. And paste that down the rest of our vertebrae. Now there are a few exceptions of when we may not want to use fins, and that will be for any bone objects that should not be skinned to. So we know that these extra pelvis bones that we've added, they're not to be skinned. We only use those for our pelvis jiggle, so we can go ahead and skip over those. The ears, they do not need fins because you can see that the bone objects do a good job at holding the ear volume. And then for the scapulas, I may just go ahead and turn on side fins. Adjust those, and then we can go ahead and copy and paste. So I'll go ahead and leave the rest up to you, and I'll also provide a final file so you can get an idea of the choices I made for the fin adjustments. Now, what we'll do in the next lesson is double check our animation controls, making sure we're satisfied with our progress. And then afterwards, we're ready to move on to the final section we'll need to rig, which is the tail, before we get into skinning and a few skinning techniques. And then to wrap this up, I'd like to show you a cool technique for creating corrective targets in areas that are prone to collapse. So just a few more tests and we will be finished with our horse rig.